right, we're going to find this article that I pulled up on my phone, which we found it. And it says that Detroit Lions Brad Holmes reveals why Drew Petzing was hired. So you want transparency, you're about to get transparency. And I might do an additional video. So I like to do things in how can I say it, ahead of time. So a lot of these videos that you probably seen, I probably did some of these weeks ago. So right now I have three videos in the queue. One about Club 520, one about Lou Williams, believing Cade is the top two in MVP as of right now, January 28th, 2026. And one I just did about the Lions attendance. So we about to build the queue up so we have some cushion. So let's get to it, man. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Detroit Lions GM Brad Holmes reveals why Drew Petzing I'm gonna say was hired. Manager Brad Holmes speaks about recent hires on the Lions offense. He says Detroit Lions general manager Brad Holmes reveals that he's made a new offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, stick out from the other not what made him stick out from the other candidates that were interviewed. Speaking to the Detroit Free Press at the Senior Bowl, and I'm hoping that they can kind of heal that issue with the local press, because a lot of times they like to break news to national media other than the local press, and it's been an ongoing beef. That whole Valenti thing where the Lions jumped off 97 on the ticket to AM radio and all that stuff, bro. That's been like going on forever. Just to give y'all some, even when I was a kid, they had a beef. I mean, how can you continue to lose the way the Lions lose and say anybody's wrong? You want them to lie to the fans. But speaking with Detroit Lions Free Press at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama. Shout out to my Mobile people. Shout out to all my people who went to LaFleur. Shout out to Julio Jones. I had a whole bunch of homies that's down there, man. The former two-time executive of the year discussed how the decision was made to add former Arizona Cardinals coordinator to the coaching staff. Quote, a total of 10 candidates were interviewed for the offensive coordinator vacancy. Quote, a lot of it was what I liked about him is that it's not a system. It's do you have? What's the personnel that you have, said Holmes. Like, what can we do? And so that's what I think he showed us in the process, is that we can maximize personnel of what's available. So that's really exciting. So basically, one of the things that I liked about, Ben Johnson, which I like a lot about Ben Johnson, I just can't hate on him, right? Just my type of dude, no diddy, is that he customized that offense every week to attack the defense. So it wasn't, oh man, we just gonna stay in 12 personnel, we're gonna stay in 13 personnel, or we gonna go whatever the weakness of that team's defense, that was what they were gonna attack. And I feel like he's alluding to that here, is that he's very customizable in his offense, and that's what you need. Somebody who's gonna draw up offenses to attack the defenses that we play in this week. And he showed it. I mean, I said, when I started thinking about it and talking about it, he showed it, right? When we started getting into the situations where, we had Kyler Murray, he like everybody else had to adjust their offense to Kyler Murray. It wasn't his fault that Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't his fault. You know what I mean? When Jacoby Brissett came in, he did his thing. When he had James Conner, they ran the football, and a lot of that probably had to do with Kyler Murray's ability to scramble. When he didn't have the running backs, he found a way. They threw the ball, and they threw it successfully. So, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people just looking at the name, but if he has the versatility and, some of the things that they said John Morton lacked, if you've seen the press conference or you've seen my breakdown video of the press conference in the live stream, one of the last 2 or 3 I've done, I don't do as many anymore. It's something I want to change. He talked about, kind of what they was looking for, somebody that was a leader, somebody that was going to be organized, and in layman's terms, somebody that know what they're doing. And those are some of the things that they did not get from John Morton. And obviously, first-time play caller, guess what? Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay? So that's what he's saying. His ability, his versatility, his fluidity with the offense and how they're going to attack defenses on a week-by-week basis is one of the things that really stood out about Ben Johnson. Holmes later added, it was just a ton of impressive candidates, but we got to the end of the week and we kind of went back to like, who's the guy that we all collectively felt like he checked all the boxes for us, and we just kind of went with that. We went with the gut, and that's why we made the move. Now, my thing is this, should that be a group decision or should that be a Dan decision? You know what I'm saying? And collectively, I would agree with that, because you get with Hank, the offensive line coach who knows him. You get with Hank, the offensive line coach who knows him. Also in addition to that, you get with, the receivers coaches, or, the other coaches that's still going to be here in the front office, and Dan, and they make that decision. Ultimately, I think maybe Dan may have the final say so. Um, you know, so I want to know kind of like who was really close to that, right? Detroit only interviewed one internal candidate, opting to go outside the organization for the next offensive leader. The passing game coordinator David Shaw was the only candidate they interviewed who was already on Dan Campbell's coaching staff. So hopefully, I like David Shaw. Hopefully, stick around. Last year, Detroit only interviewed 3 internal candidates before eventually landing Denver Broncos passing game coordinator John Morton. But Petzing is just very sharp, very bright. Just really like his attention to detail. He was very well recommended. All the vetting that we did, I mean, all the sources couldn't speak highly enough about him, said Holmes, and just really like what his philosophy was behind offensive football, how he utilized personnel. So it's just, he checked all the boxes, man. So we were excited about him. So that's what he had to say. He checked the boxes. Was it somebody that's I like this guy? Of course, they're not all gonna be agreeable with each other. That ain't gonna happen. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Respectfully, it doesn't surprise me that when I kind of did my research, and shout out to Juan Buchanan, kind of point me in the right direction in some of that research. It made sense. It made sense. It made a ton of sense. So when I started like really looking at it, I'm like, damn. Kind of some of the things that he done and he could do, it makes a bunch of sense. So, but hey, that's just me. That's just me. So a lot of people fought it because it was a name brand. We can't go off name brand. We don't shop like that over here. We need quality. Whenever we buy, we're gonna buy it off quality. Now, sometimes the brand is so strong that you buy it off the brand name. But like I said about the Toyota 4Runner, they have issues with the modern motors in these Toyota 4Runners. So people say, well, I like the 2025 or the 2024. So newer isn't always better, So, even when you start digging for brands, you got to do your research on them, and it's always some tweaks and stuff. So we'll see, man. If he's successful, it's going to be a lot of people that going to be quiet, or it's going to be a lot of people that claim that it's gonna be a lot of people that claim that, oh, I knew he was gonna be a good one. I knew he was gonna do this, and I knew he was. And he's like, all right, capping. But hey, man, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. I appreciate the love and support. Hit the link in the description. The first link, the link tree. You can find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, Spotify, the whole nine. Peace.